How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Now, I just want to say before we get started, thank you for support on the previous video where I did my fantasy Premier League team. I think that's been viewed nearly 200 times now, in under 12 hours, which is absolutely crazy. So yeah, thank you very much for that. Today's video, we're going to be following something very similar. I think I said I might do something like this. I did say Premier League predictions. That could come. I know the Premier League's already underway, so I might do that video very shortly before we get really deep into the season. But today's video is about the top 5 young players to look out for in the Premier League this season. So I'm going to be giving my opinion on who I think will succeed, do really well, could be up for PFA Young Player of the Year. So let's get straight into it. If you do enjoy the video, please do like and subscribe for more content like this and more FIFA content, FIFA 20, all sorts coming to the channel, but let's go. So here we go. First player is Mason Greenwood. Now, the Man United player should have a massive impact this year. Even though he's only 17, I think he's going to have a great season. He made a few brief appearances. I think he did score against Wolves last year in the Premier League, but he made an appearance on the PSG famous night for Man United, and he could even start the first game of the season for Man United at right wing for against Chelsea. Yeah, so the fact that Man United haven't brought in a replacement for Lukaku is what makes me think that this guy is going to have a really big impact. I think Solskjaer rates him really highly, and if you look at his stats, he's had 30 appearances, albeit these aren't at the highest level, but it's still a great level of football to be getting these records. 30 appearances, 26 goals and 8 assists. He averages a goal just over 1 goal per 90 minutes. So it's fantastic, really. And I'm going to put on what I think the best trait of each player is. So I've said here, Mason Greenwood, his best trait is he doesn't have a weak foot. So I think Man U were playing AC Milan and it was taking his penalty. I'm not sure what foot exactly he took it on, but people were unsure which foot he was going to take it on, purely because in sort of games where he's played in the Man United reserves, things like that, the under-18s, under-21s, he's actually taken free kicks. There was one game where he took a free kick on his right foot, scored, free kick on his left foot, scored. Now, how many players can do that? I mean, the ones I can think of would be Santi Cazorla, very both-footed player. This guy, though, he doesn't have a weak foot, so he is in as the first player. These aren't in any particular order, but Mason Greenwood, I think he's going to have a brilliant season. Do really well for Man United. Hopefully he can do well in the first game of the season. 17 years old, he can only grow. He's got broad shoulders. He's going to take on the responsibility very well. I heard he's a very grounded player. So that is Greenwood. Let's hope he has a great season. Let's get into number 2. So up next we do have Mason Mount. Now the player has returned from Derby on loan and he's just signed a 5-year contract with Chelsea, so I think that shows how important he is going to be to Lampard. As I said, he was with Lampard last year at Derby. I think Lampard will be really keen, especially with the transfer ban, to get them into the main team, get them set up, doing really well. He's been entrusted with the number 10 position in a few games in pre-season, so that's his position he plays best. Played well against Barcelona, heard his work rate and his decision maker was really good. I expect him to have a very good season, especially because Chelsea simply can't buy players. Now, they've got a lot of injuries in that midfield position at the moment as well. Kante, Ruben Loftus-Cheek both out. So I expect him to do well. He likes a goal, so he scored 11 last year for Derby. Played 44 games, so shows he can stay fit. Hopefully he doesn't get an injury. Just depends really how he does adapt to the Premier League. So being in that cam position in a lower league can be totally different to being in that Premier League. You've got much less time. You need to be really quick with how you make your decisions. One thing that Mason Mount does really well is his set pieces. So very good free kick taker, very good corner taker is what I've heard. And I think, yeah, Mason Mount, he is in my list for top 5 players to watch. Let's hope he does well. 20 years old, so he could be that sort of new type of Chelsea players come through the academy. They haven't had many. They've had a few players like Josh McEachran, Nathaniel Chalobah, all go by the way, all just not managed to break through. Could Lampard be the man to get these new players through the team? So in the third position we have Joe Willock, the Arsenal central midfielder. So one of the differences between Joe Willock and Mason Mount is that Joe Willock actually stayed at Arsenal last year, played in a few lower under-19s games, things like that, but did actually come on in a few games. So came on in 6 first-team appearances, and surprisingly for a central midfielder, scored 3 goals. So he scored against Barcelona. He scored against Blackpool in the FA Cup. Now, he actually came on in the Europa League final, sort of a consolation appearance since they were losing, but had a really good pre-season. I've heard a lot of good things from Arsenal fans, saying that this man could actually be the guy who replaces Xhaka in their midfield. People wanting Torreira, Willock and Ceballos, the new signing from Real Madrid, to be their midfield. So could he replace Xhaka, and could he actually start against Newcastle in their first game of the season? A lot of players are hoping, a lot of fans are hoping for him to come through and actually be their breakthrough man. So it'd be really interesting to see how he does this season. I even seen tweets saying Joe Willock the closest closest player to Andres Iniesta. Not sure I'd go that far, but I hope he does really well. Surprising stats, so 20 appearances and 12 goals, so it shows he's really got an eye for goal, and 2 assists. And I've put down his best trait is sort of 2. So we've got versatility, comes with the awareness, so he can play a number of positions, and I think he will be used across that midfield 3 for Arsenal. Really interesting to see how he does. But number 3 is Joe Willock. So up next we do have Phil Foden. Now he's one of the more established players on this list. He's had a really good past few years. I think he's won the Premier League twice. He's won FA Cup, Carabao Cup. He's pretty much 19, nearly won it all. But the thing is, for Foden, is he's not starting as many matches as he needs to be, I really think, to develop. He only started 3 Premier League games last year, but overall he did have 7 goals and 2 assists. So it's a strange one for Foden. I think on the one hand he's got Pep Guardiola saying that, yeah, he's one of the best young talents that he's ever had, if not the best. Not sure if he remembers when he was working with Messi at Barcelona, but I mean, it's coming from Pep, you have to trust him. And then on the other hand, should he be on loan, starting more matches? In my opinion, he's doing the right thing. He's at Man City, world-class talent, pushing him in training every single day. He just needs to start more. That's it really. Make more appearances, maybe in the 70th minute if Man City have wrapped up games. Came on yesterday against West Ham. Should have actually scored. Sterling should have played him in a bit sooner, but I think it's a really big year for Foden. He wants to make the Euro squad, and I think if Pep Guardiola gives him the time, he will shine. FA Cup, he should be starting their matches, especially against the lower league teams. But I've put his best trait as dribbling. Whenever I see Foden on the ball, he's got that bit of David Silva class about him. He's really going to push David Silva for his place when he's looking to retire. So Phil Foden, I really want him to have a good year. Want him to make the Euro squad. I think he'll have another good year with Man City. I think they will probably push for the title and ultimately win it. So that could be 3 Premier League medals for Foden. Let's get into the last pick. So here we go. The last player to make it into the team. And he's not from a top 6 team. He's from Norwich City. And it is Norwich's right back, which is Max Aarons. So maybe the fact that he's coming from a lower position team could be due to the fact that these top teams, their academies are really producing at the moment, or it's just that these players are more brought into my eye through social media, fans hyping them up, things like that. But Max Aarons has actually had a really successful season last year. Finished first with Norwich, made over 40 appearances for them in the Championship, and actually made it into the EFL Team of the Year and won the EFL Young Player of the Year award. So that's like a massive thing. I know Sessegnon at Fulham won it the year before. Now he's at Spurs. Didn't work out for him in the Premier League last year, but I do think there's still quality there. And I think Aaron's, he's going to have that quality to do well. He's going to be tested so much for Norwich this year. He's going to be up against like some of the best wingers in the world. He was actually rumoured to maybe join Man United this summer when the Wan-Bissaka transfer saga was going on. Could have gone to Man United, could have actually gone to Crystal Palace to replace Wan-Bissaka, but he stayed at Norwich, signed a 5-year deal, and I expect him to do really well. If Norwich do actually go down, I can see him maybe moving to Spurs. Even if they stay up, I think a big move will be on the way for Max Aarons. He's just got that real quality about him. His best trait I've put is dribbling, so holding onto the ball down the wing, sort of not doing anything stupid with it. Didn't get off to the best of starts against Liverpool the other night, but I expect him to have a solid season. So that is the end of the list. I think I've named 5 players there who will have really good seasons. I expect a lot of big things from them, all under the age of under 21. If you have anyone who you think could have made the list, should have been up there, please let me know. I've tried to look at players that I've seen personally play, and I've seen a lot of people talking about, but there's always a lot of good players out there. So if you've enjoyed the video, please do like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. See you later.